Hey, what's good, Savages? Welcome to another episode of The Savage Show. I'm your host, Savage Paulson. And on today's episode, I'm joined by my good friend, Riley Maillet, a.k.a. Alexander Kable. Riley is a professional wrestler. Man, I'm having a hard time with my words today. Riley is a professional wrestler. I met him 5-6 years ago at Torture Chamber. We became good friends. I always enjoy talking to him. So let's get to it. Please welcome Riley Maillet. Yo, what's good, man?
Hey, buddy. How's it going?
Good, you?
Good. You can hear me okay?
Yeah, man. Perfect, man.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me.
Pleasure, man. Thanks for accepting my invitation.
Anytime.
What's good, man? How are you?
I'm good. I just had a really long day working up in the middle of the woods somewhere in Quebec, and I was rushing to get home in time, but I made it, so we're good.
Wait. Say that again. You had a long day. I didn't hear. I want to hear that again.
I was working up in the woods somewhere in Quebec.
Were you chopping woods? What was going on? You mean
looks like it should be, eh? No. I was working at a cottage. I was doing some installs at a nice cottage up there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, on, man. Anything? Listen, man. I appreciate you coming on. I really excited to talk to you, man. I got a few. I always enjoy talking to you. We always have great conversations. So again, thanks, man, for coming on, man. You're like killing it right now, Mister Promoter, Mr. Professional Wrestler. Man, you're busy as hell.
Yeah, I am. And to anybody that's ever thought about starting a wrestling promotion, let me just warn you, it's a lot of work. I have no idea how people do it every month. We do it 4 shows a year, and it's overwhelming just at that. So, but yeah, keeps me busy. Just living the dream, man. Still out here, still grinding.
Did you take any break at all during the pandemic? I can't remember if you obviously took a few months off there because no one was wrestling there, but you're pretty steady. Even like when it came back to it, you went right back to it, right?
Yeah, it still hasn't gone back to what it was pre-pandemic, where it was twice a weekend, every weekend, pretty much. But no, I had 18 months between matches. The last one was a Showcase Sunday show for Torture Chamber in February, and then it started again the following August, and it was outdoor shows, and it's picked back up a bit. I'm trying to balance life and wrestling a little bit better now than I used to.
Yeah.
Which is hard because for so long it was go, head down, shoulder in, let's wrestle every weekend. And now taking a step back from that has been a bit of an adjustment, but it's been good, mentally, physically. And I find now when I'm doing less, I'm giving more in the matches because I'm not beat up from last weekend. Mm-hmm. And just, so I try and keep busy, but.
It's a different mindset though, right? Like probably before the pandemic, I was the same way. Before everything shut down, I was wrestling almost, if not every weekend, sometimes twice a weekend. And I was running hot. Everything was going well, though. I must admit, towards the end there, like, early 2020, I was wrestling every weekend and things were going great. I was picking up momentum and I was getting booked a lot and I was being involved in some storylines and I felt like, everything was clicking. Everything was really like coming together as far as my wrestling career. And then boom, everything happened. Everybody took a break for so many years or whatever, how long it was. For me, it was 3 years basically.
Yeah.
And now that I'm back at it, it's the same as you, right? It's like I'm trying to balance now. Like I can't go back to wrestling every weekend. Number one, I can't allow my body. It's not that I can't allow it. It's just I don't want to put my body through all what I used to put it through. I want to be careful. And like you, I want to be able to, when I do have a match, that I'm able to give it 100%, that I don't have too many, aches and pains and aches. So it's been great though, but it's hard to kind of balance, my life between my, being a father, being a husband, being a supporter, whatever, provider, and then being a professional wrestler, now being a podcaster, doing all these projects that I just can't stop. And so I can only imagine you coming back to wrestling and now you being a promoter. I've never been a promoter in my life, and I can't even imagine what it's like, the stress of not only dealing with all the different things that you have to worry about as far as putting on a show, but having to deal with 12 to 15 professional wrestlers, even more sometimes on a nightly basis, all our prima donnas and all these egos all together. It can't be easy.
Well, first and foremost, let me say, when we make it to the show day, it's not that bad, because everybody that we've had at Remix has been, oh, by the way, Remix Wrestling, I'll throw that out there. Everybody that we've had there has been wonderful. It's, we've had some problems, with getting wrestlers to the show is like herding cats. But once they're there, like, we've been so blessed to have everyone that they're, I don't think there's anybody in that locker room that's not friends with each other. Everyone gets along.
Of course.
Great vibes. So thankfully no egos really to deal with or anything, but
Yeah, I said that, but I kind of, what I mean is that sometimes, it's not always like that, but sometimes you get to deal with a few egos. I guess you're lucky that you might not have to deal with that. But I know that when I was there last time, it was nothing but fun, nothing but a great time. Everybody in the back, the way the show set up. I was talking to, I forget who I was talking to. I was having a conversation. I was telling them I went to Remix. It was amazing. That I had never been in that environment, I had never been in that, like, everybody's standing up. There's no one sitting down. There's a huge crowd. People get into it, been drinking a lot. So it's really different from what I've experienced before. But on the same note, it's great experience. I loved it. I love being in the back talking with everybody. That was my second show. So it was fun to see everybody that I hadn't seen in a long time, and to see new faces as well. And you guys put on a great show. You were really well organized, and bravo. I tip my cap to you guys. For a second show, it's really impressive.
Thank you very much for saying that. I really appreciate that. And your opinion, we have a lot of history together, so your opinion matters a lot to me. And I'm glad you enjoyed yourself.
Of course, man. It's important. I always try to give my feedback, even though it's positive or not positive. Like, I always try to stay honest and transparent as much as possible. And I can't think of anything bad to say about my experience at Remix Wrestling. It's really that simple, It's fun. I can't wait to go back. And again, the vibe, the crowd, the people in the back, like everybody watching, it's just a blast, man. Tell me one thing though.
Sure.
Is this something like when you became a professional wrestler? How long have you? What year did you have your first match?
So my debut was August 25th, 2018. So I've been at it for almost 5 years. Minus those 18 months. And it took me about 2.5 years of training to get there. So I started at Torture Chamber in 2017, June of 2017. So, 16.
Yeah, because I started a year before you, or about quite a few months before. I think I started April 2015. I had my first match in March 2016. And being a promoter, when you decided I'm going to be a professional wrestler, was that the only goal at first? Was it like at one point I want to be a professional wrestler and I want to be a wrestler and I want to be a promoter?
Going into it, I don't think I ever thought I would be a promoter. But once we started training, especially riding with Leduc, with a lot of time to kill in the car, we always talked about what if we were going to do a promotion, how would we do it? And so before I had my first match, I had always thought it would be cool. Between when I started training and when I debuted, I thought about being a promoter. And for a while, I wasn't even sure if I could cut it as a wrestler. During the training, I was having some struggles. And I thought, well, maybe if I can't wrestle, then I'll be a promoter. Mm-hmm. But I've been very, very blessed and fortunate, and it's taken a lot of hard work. But now I can say I've done both, which is pretty cool.
What was it about that point in your life where you weren't sure that you could hack it as a professional wrestler?
Well, until I signed up at Torture Chamber, I had done zero athletic anything in my life. And I didn't even understand my first day what I was getting myself into. I thought it would be a lot more on the acting side of things with, just learning enough of the physicality to be safe, which is totally my own mistake. If I had taken half a second to look into it, I'm sure I would have realized that I was wrong and probably not signed up at all. So I'm kind of glad I didn't. And just being there, and I mean, it took me a long time to get even some of the basics down. But I have a tendency to be a little hard on myself, and it's something that I've been working a lot on, especially lately. And nobody but me ever told me I couldn't do it. I didn't have people in my life being like, no, you can't be a wrestler. That's stupid. It was always only me. But I almost listened to that voice a few times, and I'm very glad I didn't, because I think I probably would have regretted it for the rest of my life, and I wouldn't have met all these awesome people that I consider my family, had all these memories. You know, I'd probably have a few less scars, but they've all been worth it.
I share your sentiment when it comes to not listening to that voice. You know, I also, most of the shit that I do, for either it be from my mixed martial arts career or attempt at a professional career that transitioned into professional wrestling, which, you know, of all the things I've tried, from podcasting to fighting to wrestling to all these things, running, all these, it's always been me versus me. I can't think of anybody that's ever told me like, oh, you can't do that shit. You know what I mean? It's always, I either imagine those people telling me I can't do that shit, so it kind of serves as motivation. But it's funny where if I imagine people telling me like, oh, you're no good, you can't accomplish what you're setting out to do and stuff, I always go like, I'm gonna prove you wrong. But if I listen to my voice, to my demons tell me like, you're like, now I'm a lot better at like listening to that voice, that self-doubt, you know, it's whatever it is, you know, that inside of me, and I just go like, nah, it's time to go to work. And for me, the way that I kind of negate that negative emotion and that negative voice is that I understand that it's never going to go away, but I understand that if I can just go and put in the work, set goals, and just realize that there's a journey involved in whatever you want to do. There's the journey of life, right? That includes everything I'm trying to do, but there's also individual journeys for all the shit I'm trying to do. If I every single day can put in the work to just try to be better at those things all together, so that at the end of the day, I can look myself in the mirror and go, am I better than I was yesterday? And if I can answer yes, then if I can, I guess, accumulate those days, turn into week, turn into month, turn into years, and then just keep going, at a certain point, you're just going to get better, right? I've tried to stop focusing on the end result and just try to focus on the day-to-day journey of where I want to be. But yeah, just like you, I think that many days, especially when it came to wrestling, I was never afraid of the physical aspect of wrestling. It came very natural to me, and I wouldn't say surprised, but I guess I was in a certain way. Like, even though I'd done martial arts in the past, and I was very athletic in most of the things that I've done, being an athlete almost my life, all the sports I played, everything I've done. I think professional wrestling is so many different things that once I got over the physical part of it, and then started implementing all other aspects of professional wrestling, the acting, the listening, the crowd reaction, the interacting, all that, and understanding the psychology of professional wrestling and how you should try to tell a story in all your matches and how it should go. And I think I started being more and more confident in myself. But even now, like like every time I get booked, I always wait till I find out who my opponent is, and it depends. You know, it's always like, oh shit, like there's always that oh shit moment. Like I hope I don't shit the bed, and I think we all have that, right? And it's hard to kind of like build that confidence to a point where like it's never going to show up. It's that voice is never going to say something or to be around and go like, hey, listen, I don't think you're going to be able to steal the show or whatever that voice can tell me sometimes. So I can understand what you've been through, and I respect and appreciate that you've been able to overcome those feelings and those doubts and be who you are today. Like I've known you for 5-6 years now, and I can say that I'm really proud of you and the wrestler you've became, the man you've become. Like, who am I? Who am I to say that? I'll be honest to say that, but you know what I mean? I'm a fan of people that just keep fucking grinding and that make it, that just make something out of what they have. You understand what I mean? Like, it doesn't always have to be like, oh, this guy's going to make it to WWE or AEW and thing. Sometimes you just have to appreciate that certain people can just fucking grind to the point where they are doing their best every single time. And it reflects in the things that they're doing. Either it be professional wrestling, either it be promoting, either it be whatever it is. It doesn't have to be professional wrestling. It can be anything, your job, whatever it is. And being surrounded by those people or being around those people once in a while in my life, it just inspires me, motivates me to just be better every day. So I tip my hat off once again to the person you are and the abilities that you've been able to cultivate throughout those years, and that now you're a fucking promoter and a professional and you're a worker and a promoter. I mean, bro.
First of all, man, I can't tell you how much that means to me, because you've always been someone I looked up to, especially because when I started at Torture Chamber, you were the guy. Honestly, I was a little intimidated of you at first, but but I knew you were like one of the guys, and I'd seen you on the shows, and I saw how hard you worked, and like honestly, you were a huge source of inspiration for me, especially like if I was having a night where I was like, oh man, I should be at the gym right now, but I had a shitty day in college or at work or whatever, I didn't feel like it, and then I saw on your Instagram, oh man, I know you were working like a hard physical job at the time, and then you'd be out going for like a 10-kilometer run and lifting weights. I'm like, well, if I want to be savage, gotta be like him. And then I drag my ass to the gym, and I'd always be happy I did. And it's funny because you were talking about, how we go on these little journeys, and it's not like the big journey, but there's a lot of little journeys along the way. And that is a great mindset, because it makes it seem like, it's not like, oh, I have to do 1,000 workouts and then I wrestle. It's no, I'm getting in shape and I'm also learning how to wrestle. And honestly, I think that, if it was explained like that, it comes across totally different, because I mean, obviously getting in shape was something I had to do for wrestling. And at the start, it felt like a chore. It felt like a grind. But the more I got into it, the more I actually started to like going to the gym. And I wouldn't feel right if I missed a night here or there. But if I'd known from the start and I'd looked at it that way, where it's like, okay, this is a part of the process. This is the step. Enjoy it. It's not just, head into the wind and then only look up when you get to the destination. I wish I'd honestly, along the way, I have a lot of great memories. But the whole time I was training before my debut, I was so focused on becoming a wrestler. Yeah. That I remember the good times, I remember the laughs and all that. But I wish I'd looked around more and been like, okay, this is a part of what you're working for. This isn't the prerequisite. This is a part of the journey, and being more mindful and enjoying it as it happened. Because I look back so fondly, and I kind of like, damn, I kind of wish I was getting ready for that debut again, just to feel that camaraderie and everything. And
I think I see too often in professional wrestling that people will be offered certain. I don't want to say this to. I'm trying to say it the right way, but sometimes I see people take certain opportunities that I don't want to say they're not ready for, but thinking that this is going to lead to them skipping steps in the journey and then getting to the. Listen, if you ask 9 out of 10 independent wrestlers what your goal is, it's either going to be you got to become a professional wrestler. By professional wrestler, I say we're professional wrestlers. I guess we can call ourselves independent wrestlers, workers. By pro, I mean like either you sign a contract, AEW, WWE, whatever the case may be, ROH, all these big promotions. And I appreciate all the people. There's a bunch of people that, but sometimes I feel like you wrestling, like many other things, but wrestling for some reason, there, like you said, process. There is a fucking process. And the process isn't 6 months. It's not a year, 2. The process is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years before. Sometimes you can be wrestling for 10 plus years before anybody goes like, yeah, that guy has got something. Mm-hmm. Or it could take so long for certain people to just figure it out. There's so many different aspects of professional wrestling. And I guess it's like this in life as well, like either you be good at your job or whatever you do in life. But I feel like professional wrestling, there is so many. The physical aspect is one thing, but the psychology and the grind of properly putting all those skills in display for 8 to 15 minutes, let's say. Like, I don't think people understand how hard it is to tell a story when you guy goes, okay, you got 10 minutes, including your entrance. Go. Yeah. You got to tell a story that people are going to get invested. Oh, and you're first on the card, so make sure that you get the crowd going. There's a process. You have a role to play depending on there's so many different intricates. I don't think every promotion treats it the same. I'll be 100% honest. But the good ones and the good promoters will tell you, you're first on the card. I don't want to see 8 fucking false finishes. I don't want to see dives from the top rope or fucking 450 splash in the first match so that somebody else in the main event now has to do 8 false finishes just to try to get over. It doesn't, like, there's a thing you need to do. And I think the good promoters get it. But I think that a lot of people have a hard time sometimes understanding that all these things must come together. And it's just through years and years and years of just putting your craft together and putting their work in and just working and working and working and working, getting into matches and getting all that experience under your belt. And then one day you realize you're like, oh, this is clicking. This is working. This is not working. I have to remove this. All these things. Is when you go into a match, is there still a similar process from the beginning, or is it more like automatic now? Is there more like a feeling of an instinct now? You're like, oh shit, I got a match. Now it's like a lot easier to go through my match prep and then the bell rings, you're a little less nervous. Or is it, it's still a work in progress for you?
Well, just before, I'll answer that in 1 second. There's just one thing you said, we have to tell a whole story in, 10 to 12 minutes, including entrances. If you think about that in terms of an ordinary TV show, that's one commercial, like between 2 sets of commercials, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a TV episode, a half-hour TV episode, gets 3 of those to tell a story, and we have to do it in just 1.
I know.
So think about that. People have never wrestled a match, wrestling fans, but you've probably watched a TV show. Imagine trying to condense an episode of your favorite TV show into a third of the time slot, and that's what we're doing.
Well, that's a good knowledge. That's really good. That's a really good way of putting it. I never thought about it like that. Yeah.
But to answer your question, though, it is now finally at a point, and it's so funny that a lot of the things that our coach Drew said to us are just bang on. It's like he said, in about 5 years, you figure out your personality as a wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just about at the 5-year mark, and it's just now the point where I don't have to remember in the moment, okay, this is who I am. Now it's just me out there. As soon as that music hits and I come out, the process. You don't have
to try to be Alexander Kable.
Exactly.
You're just are now. It's like you are him.
Mm-hmm. There's no. I used to have to. You'd see me. The early shows, especially in the first couple of months, you'd see me pacing back and forth behind, like smacking my head and just doing anything to like bring that out. And now it's just, man, it's right under the surface. As soon as that music hits, especially if I have my tag team partner John Kane with me, man, it's time to go to work. It's just we know each other. We've done it so many times. That music hits and we're going. But in terms of like the prep, it really depends who we're working with. A lot of the times now we don't like to. I don't know how much we're pulling back the curtain on this podcast, but
let's go.
A lot of the time we don't like to plan everything out If we're working with people that are in the same boat, a lot of the times we like to figure just the big stuff out, and then the rest just kind of happens as it happens. Especially because as we've gone along, we've basically gotten known for this brawling, like hardcore style. So it's kind of hard to play. Okay, then we're going to do a punch exchange in the middle of the ring for like 2 punches back and forth, and that's mostly going by feel almost. But
yeah,
I've been lucky enough. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go. Finish. Sorry.
Lately, I've been lucky enough to work with some newer talent, which is something that I really wanted to do because I always looked up to the vets that helped me out when I was getting started. And so now getting to work with some people that are just starting out and they're still being nervous and them still wanting to go through everything. And I'm very happy to help them with that. And that's when I like to actually go through everything and help them out.
There's definitely a different feeling when you're wrestling as the vet versus when you're wrestling as either the green guy or the rookie, where you're wrestling a vet and you're like, okay, I feel comfortable in either position because I always feel like if I'm wrestling someone that has way more experience than I know I can trust that person. Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, you go, man. Tell me what were we doing? You know, there's an exchange, and I've always been the type. Not always. I've cultivated this thing where now I feel more comfortable being that person in charge. And so when I get the opportunity to work with someone that's either green, rookie, that hasn't had a lot of matches, it comes natural to me now. I'll be like, all right, listen, I kind of understand the person I am. So like, for example, like for the longest time, especially in professional wrestling, when I was meeting all these people, I was kind of oblivious to the effect that I had on other people. And I was reminded sometimes by either my wife or my friends, my close friends, of sometimes how intimidating / imposing I could be just by my mere presence. I'm not a man of many words, but when you start getting me, I'll take that back. I am a man of many words, but sometimes, sometimes in certain situation, I just like to sit back and observe and be the quiet one. You know, I don't always like to interject into people's conversation or people's thoughts or everything. But when I started realizing the effect that I had on certain people, I kind of started being aware of the negative aspects of it and then the positive aspects of it. And then I tried to navigate myself and like, okay, well, as much as I can be imposing and intimidating to certain people, and maybe it's time for me to try to tone that down a little bit, but I could still be confident and be a positive voice or an inspiring, motivating voice to someone. So now I'm kind of like owning that a little bit. I think the pandemic, those 24 months of just being at home and it gave me an opportunity to fucking just get out of my head and really search what were my issues, where they stemmed from, and how I could work on becoming just a better father, a better husband, a better friend, a better wrestler, all those things. And once I started doing those little things on a day-to-day basis, becoming aware of my negative shit, I could start working. And when you start working on one thing, then everything else kind of comes together. So then I feel more comfortable around, because the thing that people might not know about me, and I don't know if you know this about me or it might be surprised, but a lot of the times when I'm surrounded by people and you or other people might go like, oh, there's Steph, like, fuck, he's super intimidating or this and that. 9 times out of 10, dude, I'm mostly uncomfortable. I feel intimidated by other people. I feel like an imposter. I feel like I'm a fake. I feel like these people are going to fucking figure me out. For the longest time, that's who I was. And that affected my confidence in the person I was. So I became really, really good at hiding those things.
Yeah.
And
I didn't know that. I've known you for quite a while.
Yeah, I became really good at hiding those things. And I think only the people that really know me knew that about me. But I'm a guy that's super transparent, and it's one thing about me, and I've said it many times. I share a lot of my life on social media. I obviously have a podcast. I talk about anything, everything goes. I don't care. I'm an open book. And I feel it's important as a person, and I don't want to say as a mentor, but as someone that has a presence online.
A platform, for sure.
A platform that people connect with me. They send me messages. Many times I get messages from people that thank me or that say, hey, keep posting your fucking videos. They inspire me to work out, to be better, do these things. And at first, when I started getting momentum behind this persona on this platform and building this thing for myself, I felt what I said earlier. It was like, man, like these fucking people, they're going to fucking figure me out. And then it wasn't until like, you know what? No, fuck no. I am that person. And I've said this before, and I think I need to say it again. I owe it to professional wrestling. And I think people might go like, what the fuck do you mean you owe it to professional wrestling? I had this persona inside of me from the age of like 6, 7 years old. All right. I grew up a certain way under certain circumstances, different than many people, single mother, no father in the picture. A lot of different things, it wasn't the normal upbringing. And I had to look to different avenues for a source of inspiration and motivation in life. And who do I aspire to be, And I always had this person inside of me that I wanted to be, but I never had a platform. And every time I tried to be that person around people be like, dude, like, chill the fuck out, right? You ever see that kid that's way too excited, or they're like, you seem like you're trying too hard. And I always got that feeling when I was younger, so I kind of like just crammed those feelings in, and I just tried to like, let's live by the box. Let's live inside the box. And when I became a professional wrestler and started working, it gave me a platform to cultivate this persona that was inside of me. And little by little, I went from being Stéphane Paulin to being Savage Paulson. And then within 2, 3, 4 years, I worked for 4 years before the pandemic. And it was really in the last few months that I could say that I was completely him all the time. Not in a bad way, because I was able to then control him when I was the father, when I was the husband, when I was the guy at home, the guy at work. And then when I went to the wrestling, when I was a wrestler, I turned it up from 8 to 11, right? It's just I turned it up. Now I get to be. But at the end of the day, and you can vouch for this, when you watch me in the ring, it's me. There's no persona. I'm not playing I'm not wrestling as a cowboy or as a persona. There's no character. It's me, just exaggerated version of myself, right? And pro wrestling gave me that fucking platform to be able to cultivate this person, this thing that I had inside of me. And when it got taken away from me and from everybody in March of 2020, dude, for months I lost this part of this. I lost my identity. I didn't have the platform anymore, and I felt like I could not be that person anymore. And slowly, it started chipping away at me, where like that confidence slowly started leaking out of me. And then I slowly started becoming the person I was before, the lazy. So that's why I need to start. That's why I started running. That's why I ramped up my workouts. That's why I didn't have that platform, and I needed another platform to become that person. And I tried them all. I tried the running, I'm gonna get up on Saturday morning at fucking 5 a.m. I'm gonna go run 30 kilometers, and that's gonna make me feel great. But there was something missing. And when I started wrestling again this January, I remember I had my first match. It felt surreal in a way where I was like, but I wasn't 100% sure yet. And it wasn't until I had my match at Remix Wrestling where it was outside of my comfort zone, outside of torture. Met a lot of people I had never met before. Was surrounded by a lot of people. That was my comfort zone. I went out there and I worked, and I remember the even just the driving with, you know, with everybody that was in the car, like that camaraderie of like just like professional wrestling. I was like, yeah, okay. And then there's something clicked. And then from then it was like, fucking, dude, you got to cut promos all the time. You got to be in character 90% of the fucking time. Not even that. You don't even have to be in character. Just be your fucking self, ramped up that motherfucker, and just be that guy all the time, so that when it bleeds in and out of your life, so that people are be like, that's just Steph. That's just Savage. He's like this all the time. So when I got back into it, man, it gave me that platform. I felt alive. Not that I wasn't, you know, I had to, it definitely gave me opportunity to be, you know, focus on being a better father, a better husband, and a better person. And like I said earlier, the pandemic, I took a breath, I took a step back and went like, I need to fix a lot of my shit, a lot of my bullshit. I need to put it out. I need to become aware of it. And I did. I still have a lot of work to do, but every single day I'm aware of my bullshit. And I make sure that at the end of the day, when I go to bed, I'm like, am I better than I was when I woke up this morning? Even if it's 0.1%, even if it's like, well, no matter what different aspects. And I'm so fucking grateful to professional wrestling, to giving me the opportunity to be, I think I know this sounds like fucking cliche, but who I was fucking born to be, you know, who I was destined to be.
You've said so many things that I agree with. First of all, I think the imposter syndrome thing is huge. I've dealt with it in pretty much every aspect of my life. And I was just getting to a point with wrestling, a lot like you were saying, right before the pandemic, where it was finally, okay, I'm starting to feel accepted by my peers. I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm having these matches that people are giving me good feedback on. I'm getting these opportunities. Now I can start to believe in myself. And like in an instant, it was gone. Mm-hmm. I remember I thought I was going to have at least one more match, and that was going to be on a Saturday. On a Thursday, they canceled the show, and then that was it. And in addition to the physical health transformations I had made leading up to my debut, there's also a lot of mental health improvements as well that it all kind of happened almost behind the scenes. I didn't even realize it was happening until one day I realized I never felt as good as when I did leaving cardio Thursday and driving back home with a big smile on my face because I just worked harder than I ever thought I'd be able to. And so the imposter syndrome, I was finally, I think it's always going to be there a little bit for me, but I was getting to a point where I could at least recognize that that's what it was, and it wasn't just me feeling like I didn't belong.
Yeah.
And I just want to say that nobody has ever made me feel in a locker room like I don't belong. This is all in my own head, like we were talking about earlier.
Of course.
Everybody's always been super cool to me, with like 2 or 3 exceptions. But I love the people in wrestling. And so the pandemic hit, and I backslid a lot on the mental health and the physical health. As part of my training, I had lost something in the neighborhood of 50-ish pounds. From start to finish. If you look at pictures of me, thank you, from before I started, I don't even recognize myself when I look at those pictures now. But during COVID, unfortunately, I didn't handle it very well, and I gained it all back. And at one point, I looked in the mirror, and I was like, well, it's like you never wrestled now. You're back where you were before. You're depressed. You're fat. You're out of shape. Like, do you have any proof that you actually wrestled? Well, yes, I have video, so thankfully. But like, and man, I was just, like you say, it's an outlet, right? And it's a selfish thing to want to, I think, a little bit inherently selfish to want to perform, to want to be the center of attention. But that's not so much what the draw is for me. It's watching wrestling when I was younger was escapism. It's you have a crappy day or whatever, you get bullied at school, you come home, you turn it on. For me, it was Jeff Hardy. Oh, Jeff Hardy's on my TV. He looks different. He's got the tattoos. He's got the crazy hair, and he's succeeding. So maybe I could do that someday. You know, maybe there's a room for people that are different in this world. And when I became a professional wrestler, I thought maybe I would be that for somebody else. Maybe somebody would be having a crappy day and they'd come to a show and they'd see me doing my thing and forget about it for a little while. And I hope that's the case, that I've done that for some people. But what I wasn't expecting was the escapism that performing provided me. And just getting out of my head for a little bit and getting to be this different person. And I'm happy to say that now, post-pandemic, it still took me a while because I was out of shape, and it took me a long time to get my mental health back in order. Still working on it to this day, and there's still some bad days, but there's a lot more good days now than there were.
Mm-hmm.
But and now I can proud to say getting the physical thing back in order too. Since I'm down, I've dropped 26 pounds since January 1st, so
good.
I'm back on track. But it was hard, and there was times where I didn't even know if I wanted to do it. There was times when I wanted to say, hey, I was a wrestler. I did it. You know, I was blessed enough to be a champion. I've won a couple of awards. And I was like, that's a career that if I hang my hat up now, I could be proud. But what I didn't realize was the voice in the back of my head saying, oh, you don't want to put the work in again. Oh, you don't want to do this again. It was hard the first time. Why would we put ourselves through that again? And it wasn't until I recognized that I realized that I actually, okay, no, that probably means that I still care about this, because otherwise that wouldn't make me feel uncomfortable. I would go, oh, you're right, we're done. But the fact that there was even like a little doubt, and I actually came so close to retiring in November. Remix was going to be my last match. I wasn't even going to tell anybody. I was going to do the first Remix show, say I performed on a show I promoted, and hang it up. And not even do like a big retirement post, just stop taking bookings. And
yeah.
But the next weekend, somebody who matters a great deal to me specifically requested a match with me, and I was like, okay, well, I'll do that one, and then I'll hang it up. And then that ended up being one of my favorite matches I've ever had, and I was like, okay, I'm back. And when I had that, okay, I'm back, it's like, all right, now that means we got to put the work in. You can't just slog through, you can't just fake your way through it because you're almost done. Like,
you face that resistance, and I think a lot of people in life, when they feel that resistance, they want to do something, they want to be great, or they want to be whatever it is. Like for us, it was like be a professional wrestler. Mm-hmm. For some, it's own their own business. For some, it's I want to lose 50 pounds, I want to lose 100 pounds, I want to lose all these things. Sometimes when people have these grandiose visions in their head of becoming something that not a lot of people either can accomplish, can do, that are extremely hard, you're immediately met with resistance. Resistance in your head. You go like, you're like, man, I'm motivated. I'm going to fucking lose 100 pounds. I'm going to lose 50 pounds. And then that voice in your head go, fuck no, you're not. You don't work out ever. You've never ran. You've never done you've never been to your gym in your life. And all of a sudden you're going to run. Then you're like, oh, there's that resistance. That's how it starts. And then, then you start thinking about, oh, well, I'm not going to see results right away, right? Like people we're so used to having immediate gratification now in this day and age that doing certain things to delay that gratification is so important in the years that we're living in the life that we're living right now. I think for us, I lived in a day and age where I lived most of my life with delayed gratification, where you had to work for your shit. We didn't have internet. There was nothing. It was just like, you got to work. Now I have kids, I have a teenage boy, 13 years old, almost 14 in a month, and I have a daughter that's 8 years old. Everything is immediate gratification with either tablets, phones, Netflix, everything. They don't have to wait for shit. They don't have to wait for shit. They want to watch a show, you put it on, it takes 30 seconds, you can watch 18 episodes in a row. They don't have to wait for shit. They want to feel great. They can make a post. Hey, you get likes and people commenting. I can dance, I can sing, I can do all that shit. Immediate gratification. And I spent a lot of my time with my son coaching him at baseball. And one of the things that I try, and I don't tell him this. I don't go, hey, I'm doing this because I want you to learn delayed gratification. I want you to have that feeling. I just build the training and the coaching around that. You're not, and I make sure I repeat myself, you got to work. There has to be work. Then the work is not going to be 4 days, 4 weeks, 4 months. It's going to be years and years and years. And then trying to make them understand that there's never going to be a point where it's like you're done. Yeah. There's never a point where you're done. You're like, hey, I'm the best. Even when you think you're the best, you can still be better. And I know that sounds fucking, to some people, you say that, you're like, I'm good, bro. I'm good. I don't need to be great. And to me, there's not a bigger, and I might sound like an asshole when I say this, but that mindset is the biggest cancer in society. Because I think a lot of people, and this is something I noticed during the pandemic that really affected me. It affected my mental health because I let it affect me. I let it disturb me. I let it bug me, is that I started noticing that a lot of people were just okay in being, they were just okay in being pieces of shit in society.
Yeah.
I'm saying just piece of shit. Like, I'm not meaning you're a piece, but like meaning like they don't, like they were okay with not, like they don't have, I don't have a role. I could just be who I am without thinking that we all have a role in society. We don't live in a place where we're only 150 people on a desert island where you could just go ahead and do whatever the fuck you want. We live in cities and societies where we interact with other people and everybody. And if people could realize that if everybody worked hard, if everybody was doing something hard every single day and trying to accomplish something hard all the time and becoming just trying to become better versions of themselves every single day, that it would make the immediate people around them better, which those people would then be motivated to be better, which would make, like, it's like a ripple effect. And I started despising those people, and I didn't know how to deal with it. And that's when I said, well, you know what? That's when I started realizing that my role was already established with the little followings that I had on either Instagram, Facebook, and through my podcast. And when I started getting people messaging me and being like, hey, keep going, you're doing great. I can't tell you, like, sometimes I get like, hey, I just want to let you know I watch, like, you inspire me, blah, blah, blah. Then I knew that if I could do my part in inspiring even only one person per day, just one, even if it's one person per year, it's already there. It's better than just doing nothing. And I think that all together, I don't know how I got to this tangent there, how I got to this, but like, I think it's really, really important to just realize that no matter what you are, who you are in life, you just constantly have to strive to be better all the time, because there's always someone watching. There's always someone watching. There's always someone paying attention. Either it be your kids, your family, your friends. And if you're that guy that just is a cancer to society, well, that cancer is going to spread to other people and you know. So all that to say that, you know, I do my best. I try to stay humble as much as I can, but there's a part of me that feels like I have an obligation with the set of tools that I've accumulated through life to be able to, I should do this. Like when I don't feel like going for a run, when I don't feel like working, like I don't feel like working out, like there's a part of me that go like, dude, motherfucker, like you need to do this. Like there's certain people that depend on you. And when you have kids, it's a lot easier because I could just look at my son and go like, dude, if I spaz out right now and I just go, I don't feel like it. And my son, then the next time my son goes, I don't feel like it. And I can't say shit. Yeah, I can't say shit. I can't say shit. I can't say shit. I took Wednesday off because my neck was hurting. And that's me this week. Like yesterday on a podcast, I've recorded podcasts every day this week. I'm busy as fuck. I work a full-time job. I get up at 6 every morning. I work a physical labor job. And I'm not trying to get everybody to say, oh, poor you, blah, blah, blah. Motherfucker, like I get home at 3, I pick up my kids, I work out, I go for a run, and this and that. And Wednesday, I was not feeling it. My neck was fucking with me. I had headaches. So I'm like, I ain't going to work out today. I fucking copped out and I regretted it. I made up for it today. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go work out double the time today. So that's what I did, you know? So I think it's important for people to realize that everybody's got a role to play and that no matter what your lane is, like, dude, you got to just strive to be better. You got to be savage. You got to be savage with everything you fucking do. And people tell me, you're savage. What does that mean? Like, just be savage, motherfucker. Just grind to the bone. Like, empty the fucking tank every single day so that at the end of the day, when you put your fucking head on your pillow, you can be proud of the things you've done today. Even if it's 0.1% better, motherfucker, like, I am dead today. I'm going to sleep good tonight. You know, it's like, that's just how I've decided. Like, that's just how I've gotten to live my life now.
I think a big side effect that not a lot of people realize or talk about with this instant gratification, you know, lifestyle that we live right now is that people have, even people that think they, you know, it's, what I'm about to say is I think people have a lot of addictions that they don't realize. And they might be like, oh, it's not drugs. I'm not doing drugs. I'm not doing alcohol. I can't be an addict. Well, I'll tell you what's a lot more addicting to most people than either of those things.
Yeah, right, that here. Fucking phone. For
Cell
sure.
phones, TikTok, junk food, energy drinks. It's all right there. It's all so easy. And I think honestly a lot of people's resistance towards trying to make themselves better is just a side effect of being addicted to things and not realizing it. And you know, the funny counter side to that is if you do put in the work for something and you do spend years to accomplish something and then you do it, that feeling is addictive too.
Of course. So
you do that once. You just have to do it once. And then you're going to want to do it again and again and again. But the first one is so scary because like you said, and I always said at the start, the journey and the sub-journeys, right? Losing 100 pounds is the journey. And that's from the outset super intimidating. But the first journey could be signing up for the gym. That's a journey.
Yeah.
And you accomplish that. And now you have a feeling of accomplishment. And it's just that I find sometimes it's like trying to roll a boulder down a cliff, right? You just need the nudge. And maybe it's a little nudge and you got to push it up first, but then eventually
you got to get the momentum going. You know, it's those small accomplishments, those small victories in life. A lot of people talk about that. You get up every morning, you make your bed. That's the first victory everybody should accomplish every single day. People don't realize how much that fucks with that helps your psyche to go on today. Like, it's the easiest thing to do. You make your fucking bed. You get up in the morning, you make your bed. You've done something right the first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
That can carry you throughout the whole day. There's something about pushing yourself to always doing the right thing. And this is something this is like my life motto. And my wife, who is probably the person that knows me the best, my kids too, I think, but my wife, she knows this about me. When I work, I do every single thing to the best of my knowledge, the most efficient way possible. That I pay attention to every little. I just want to do the best job possible, and by pushing yourself to doing the right thing, it's not. Listen, I am successful. Maybe I would say more than 50% now in life because I've really, really pushed myself to really do it. But I am aware of that feeling so many times during the day. You got to do it. You got to do it. Do it right. Do this right. Do this. Don't skimp out. Don't take any shortcuts. Do this. Even if it's a small, insignificant task, do that fucking thing right. Even if no one is watching, no one noticed, you forget about it 30 seconds later, do the right thing. And we all fucking know what the right thing is all the time. You can't, it's extremely rare that we don't know what the right thing is to do. You know you should get off your ass and go work out because you're out of shape and you drink 8 energy drinks per day and you smoke and you drink and all that shit. You can't be that ignorant nowadays with the internet and all the information we have access to. Everybody knows what is the right thing to do, but because it is not convenient to most people to do the right thing, because a lot of the times the right thing needs work. It feels like work. It feels like work. If you're sweeping the floor, 9 of 10 people are just going to do it to get it done. They're going to go, what's the end result? I'm going to do it as fast as I can. Do it right. Do it fucking right, so that somebody doesn't have to come behind you and do it again, or go like, did you sweep the fucking floor? Yeah. Well, why is there still shit on the floor? Oh, because most often than none, if you don't do something right, somebody either going to have to call you out on it, or then people are just not going to rely on you anymore. And I think that we live in a culture where people can't be bothered with telling people that, being honest, like I am right now. You know, I'm not honest with you, but I'm being honest with how I feel. Mm-hmm. And we don't tell those people. So, but when you start noticing that, hey, how come people never ask me to help them, or never ask me to do anything, or never ask, maybe it's because you never do anything the right way, right? Yeah. You don't live life the right way. You don't do things the right way. You're lazy as fuck. You're unreliable. You cancel plans all the time. Like, come on. We've all been there. I've had to cancel plan. Some shit happens sometimes. But, man, at the end of the day, I think 99.9% of people are smart enough to know what the right thing is to do. They're just not willing to put the fucking work day in and day out. And I'll add this to what you said. As much as bad habits can be addictive, like, you know, all the things you named earlier, doing the right thing becomes also an addiction, like you said. Going to the gym, getting up, all that thing. When you start, especially when you start noticing results, and you start noticing how people around you treat you, talk to you, they want to be more around you, you're like, motherfucker, I'm doing something right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And once you start noticing those small things, that's when you're like, yeah, I want to do more now. I want to fucking do more. Like, I'm the type of personality, like, I can't take breaks. That's why I'm like working full time. I run, I train, I wrestle, and now I'm fucking launching a fucking YouTube channel with all this, trying to get all this content out there. Like you said earlier, sometimes I feel like, fuck, man, do I really need all this attention? It's weird, right? Sometimes you're like, oh, you're like, I feel like I'm such an attention seeker. But then I go, you know what? The way I fucking live my life, I need to do these things. These things need to be done. Because if I'm not going to do them, someone else is going to do it. And I feel like I have the tools right now to be able to do these things. And by doing them, I'm just going to get better and better and better and better. And it's going to motivate me to keep doing the other things, because then I'm going to see results with everything that I'm doing. Right?
There's a huge difference between somebody that's an attention seeker for, you know, just wanting to be the center of attention, or someone like you, who, I'm not saying you're an attention seeker, but you're someone that people should pay attention to, for all the reasons you've listed. Like, you are an incredible source of motivation. I'm not trying to pump you up too much here, you know, but you you are, for real, for a lot of people.
Thank you.
A lot of people. And I remember getting, because people saw where I came from. So my social media journey started, like my Instagram account started when I was a bigger guy, like before I'd ever thought about being a wrestler. And I did have some people that when I was working out, I was posting all the time, that were messaging me and being like, oh, I got off my ass to go to the gym because you were doing it. And I can't let you work harder than me. You know, friendly competition wise and stuff. And I would like to get back to that point. I would like to honestly get back to living a life that deserves to be inspiring. And even you're my inspiration for that. Because if I can help somebody like you helped me, and I'm sure, you know, I've had a couple of good influences in my life, and I think the best way that I could thank them for what they've done for me is to try and pass that along.
I agree, and I'll leave you on this. I'm trying to keep this to an hour, so we're already an hour in. The conversation is. Don't worry, you'll be on your open invitation. I'm trying to keep this to an hour, but I know that I can have a 2-3 hour conversation with you, especially now that we're rolling. I'm sorry to cut you off there, but I try to keep this. So I'm gonna end on this, and maybe this will help you. Maybe it's something you're already aware. People need to stop worrying about how they're going to feel tomorrow. I think a lot of people stop themselves from doing things today because they're worried about how they're going to feel the next day. And when you get into physical shit like we do, you're working out, you're going hard. Oh, if I do too many things, I'm going to be tired tomorrow. Oh, if I do too many things, I'm going to be sore tomorrow. Oh, if I do too many things, I'm not going to have enough. Stop fucking worrying about how you're going to fucking feel tomorrow, because I don't want to sound bleak or anything, but there's some people don't wake up every fucking morning. You wake up every morning, worry about what you do that day. You fucking max out every single day. You empty the tank. And if you're fucking tired the next day, who gives a shit? Everybody's tired. Everybody can live with being tired. People need to stop worrying about how they're going to feel, because I was like that. I would go like, oh man, I did so much today. I worked hard. I worked extra hours. I've worked already 50 hours this week, and I deserve a day off. I can't. I'm going to be too tired tomorrow. I have too many things to do tomorrow. I need my sleep. Fuck that shit. Stop worrying about how you're going to feel tomorrow and just fucking do it. And 9 out of 10 times, the next morning when you wake up, you're not even gonna think about it. You're not gonna think about all the things you were worrying about the day before that would have stopped you from doing all that shit you did the day before. And I'm saying this by experience, because I was that guy that would stop himself from doing too much because I was worried about the after. There's no after. There's no after. I know it sounds cliche. You lived your life because it's going to end when you go to sleep. You don't worry about the next day. And being present in the moment is the biggest flex and the biggest, it is my biggest thing that I work on, because it is something that I really need to work on. I cannot be present in anything I do, and it is something that I am currently working on. So I'm going to end that podcast on saying, be present in the moment, empty the tank every fucking day, and just be fucking savage. That's all it is, bro. I want to thank you for coming on, man. Like I said, I keep this to an hour because it's just what I'm trying to do. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule, man, and
always
coming
got time
on.
for you, brother. Anytime.
Thank you, brother, man. I appreciate that, man. I love what you're doing. I love you as a person, man, and
love you too, man.
I'm really grateful you came on. And like I said, we're gonna do this again. And stay savage, motherfucker.
Sounds good. You too.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers, brother.
See you later.